First of all, thank you so much, Cecilia, for inviting me to come here and to talk, and so wonderful, inspiring to hear Michelle and Katja talking about their companies. And we are going to talk about Rosengård, and I know a lot of people sitting here and a lot of you having this work engagement for this area. And exactly as Göran said, that Rosengård is not just a place. Rosengård is so much something bigger. Rosengård is in every area in Sweden. There is a Rosengård. Xenofilia. I founded Xenofilia 2008. My background is I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, and I've been working a lot both with the Swedish radio and TV4, and somewhere there I was feeling that I wanted to do something more sustainable. How could I use my skills in actually doing something good for the society? So I was working as an anchor for the morning show, and I was just thinking, no, I want to do something more. So 2008, I founded Xenofilia. And how many of you talk Greek? Xenofilia. Tell me what Xenofilia is about.
Xeno, det betyder främling. Filia, det betyder vän.
Yes. So we have the word in xeno, the Greek word for something unknown, and philia is the one who is welcome the unknown. That's my protest against xenophobia that unfortunately we talk about sometimes. So xenophilia, I think that you could both welcome people from other countries, other cities, but you can also welcome other things in your own person as are unknown. Maybe we don't have to always be in our comfortable zone. If we want to develop, we have to strengthen us. We have to be somewhere in the unknown, in the xenophilia world. So, 2008, I started Xenofilia. And we say that we create things with new eyes and with new words. Since I'm a journalist, I work with communication. I have that as a base. So it's natural for us to do books. We do documentaries, but we also do meetings, events, whatever is needed for create a goal. Some companies, they are like, we are doing tables, we are doing chairs, we are doing solution for the mobile telephones. You have a frame, you can say that this company is doing something. We don't have this frame. I can't really say what we are doing. We have a core. And since we have a core, we decided that we are doing things that we think is good for the society. If that is, if we're doing a book, if we're doing a TV show, if we are doing an event or an education, that doesn't really matter. Since we know if it's good for the society, that's our goal and that is vision. 2010, a couple of years ago, there were a lot in the news shows about Rosengård. It was riots, it were cars burning, you remember? I was so fed of this, and I think, what can I do that don't focus on the silly, stupid people burning cars. I want to focus on the good people that are living here, have the daily work here, and are the true heroes of Rosengård. So I want to lift them, and how could you do that? And we started to talk to people living here in Rosengård. What do you think we should do? What is the best thing with Rosengård? And there are a lot of things, but one of the things that is universal, that everyone loves, is food. Some like cooking, some like eating. I prefer eating. I don't know about you. But it's universal. It's a way of communication. So we want to highlight the people living here. And from my point of view, I'm quite tired of seeing this kind of areas as a problem, instead of asking, what is it here we can use? What can we make business of? What could we bring out? And food is one of the things we found and we wanted to work with. So what we did was that we made a TV show for the TV4, 2010. Very roughly, very simple. We went in with one camera in the kitchen, cooking food, talking about tradition, food, talking about life. And it was a good success during that year, and we made 24 programs. We also made a book at the same time when we were doing the show. We also had a photographer, and I wrote this book. We had the book release with Elmar Reepalu, 2010. And suddenly people start to both buy the book, what we were grateful for, but also ask us, could you come to us? Could you come have an event? We want to meet a food ambassador. We want to work with diversity, but we don't really know how. So we felt that we have something here that people want. How could we make this into business? We have I usually think of it like we have a really hot thing that we couldn't grab. We just felt that we had something, but we really couldn't say, how could we do things about this? So we started to talk, how could we make new kind of innovation through this theme. We were nominated for the Diversity Prize of City of Malmö. One of those products we made was the food and herb walking. Because we were talking about Rosengård, and a lot of the food ambassadors says, well, people doesn't dare to come out here. Everyone knows about this area, but no one been there. Everyone have opinions about the area, but no one been here. So could we do something to create a meeting between the people living here and other people? So we started with the food and herb walking, where people show their own Rosengård. And we go through the colonies where you have the agriculture, where people farm, and they are so differently towards the rest of Malmö. You know, it's just 5 kilometers from Rosengård to Limhamn. The problem in Malmö, if you're going that way, you don't take the 5 kilometers, you take the other side of the globe. So we have to make distance smaller. So this is a way of having people coming here and for 3.5 hours walking, tasting through what is what is there in the soil, what is growing there. We have a lot of food with a lot of herbs, and you talk about life. Very simple. You create a meeting, and actually people pay for this. It costs as much as going to the opera, but it's much more valuable. The herb walking actually has been presenting Malmö in the Malmö tourism several times when Malmö tourism go abroad and talking about Malmö. They have the herb walking as one of the features. We also do events because we think it's very important to show Rosengård and to make that inspiring, to make it attractive, and we use the food as the ingredients of a meeting. We also made cooking classes, and all this is products that it's generating work for the one who is doing it. We have exhibitions. We have actually 2 exhibitions now. One here in Rosengård that we have on the walls, because I wanted to show, people passing by start to think what is inside the walls. We also have an exhibition that we did on the Museum of Malmö, and the exhibition went to Växjö. Is now having a vernissage in Torup next Wednesday. You are so much welcome. And it's going this summer to Gothenburg, to the Botanical Garden in Gothenburg, and then to Stockholm. We also made new books, and other things. Another product that we have come from this work is Summak. Summak today is a project that we do together here with Drömmarnas hus. I realized that when we had these events, people were coming to us, companies come to us and said, we want to have these cooking events. When you take off the coat, when you started to cook together, something is happening. It's a team building. Suddenly you are talking with people maybe you're working with, but you don't talk so much. You talk about different things when you're cooking together. And you also have the teachers. You have Fatima, you have Nawal, you have Sumbul. And it's a very, very good way of having an informal discussion. So I was thinking, how could we take this and make it bigger? Here we had, the hot thing that I couldn't breathe. I just felt that we had something here. How could we make that in a method? How could we make that as a product? How could we do? So we got this wonderful project from the European Union, and we started with food. We combined that with culture, and we are talking about the diversity. So we have 365 people from 3 different companies doing this project together with us. And it's an education, or it's a process for change, for actually having change on the workplace. And the goal is to decrease discrimination at work. And we work with the food, we work with the culture, and we talk about values, diversity, and we have wonderful results. This project is ending now in June, and after that we have the knowledge for actually changing people. We have. People go from here and they say, wow, I've changed my point of view. I've changed my thinking. I have changed my way of acting. It's amazing. So we are starting with this actually in the fall, and now we have it. We're going to sell it as a product for the companies, and we already have a lot of companies working with us that we are going to work with in the fall. So that is one of the things that come out from this. Okay, now we have them. We also had some, I said, Cecilia put out some of the spices here. Because when I made the project, Kryddor från Rosengård, I was thinking that the herbs was the people. The flavor was the people. But now we actually have the physical herbs. So this is a partnership with Kockens that make herbs. And we discovered that when we did this food events and cooking classes, we use this totally different herbs, but you can't buy them in the ordinary shop. So I saw the need. You must see the need. People want this. And we had to, people said, if they're going to cooking classes, say, we want to have this, we want to have the sata, we want to have the different spices. So we have to go and buy and put them into different plastic bags, and we sell the plastic bag, very, very suspicious, and we said, we can't go on with this. We can't go on with this. We were buying the herbs in different pots, taking it together. So we said we will have to make this actually as a product. So this fall we came out with 6 different spices, everyone represented of a person here from Rosengård. And this one is Renoir, and she have the kafta, that is a typical Middle East spice, and very, very soft and beautiful. We have 7 spices with Mona. Could you hold it up? And we have her recipes. Nawal, she made the falafel spice, and this is her recipe on the back side. We have some else. That's the Shakira, and that's a typical spice from Afghanistan with a lot of cilantro. Very strong. And we have other one from Syed, that has harissa from the North African continent. And guess what? Where is the spices most sold? Norrland, in the north of Sweden.
Yeah.
So what we more are doing is that we are also having courses and work together here in with the Academy of Food, because we realize that also an area that is having a need for change is the hospitals. They are serving quite traditional food. The menu will look the same as in the 80s. And people coming to the hospitals, they say, we don't trust the food here. So they have to bring their own food, or the family is bringing food to the people in the hospitals. I was just like, why? You come to the hospital, you have a doctor cutting yourself, but you say you don't trust the food. Something here. So we are doing a big project in Trelleborg, in the Trelleborg Hospital, that we are going to change the way of food. And that is a pilot project, and we are going to be very successful there, and then we're going to spread it to the whole Skåne. We also now started in a project with the city farming, and our goal is to creating jobs, because we are always trying to find the business. If we find a sustainable business, we also have the sustainable employments. So we are now focusing on doing the same thing we do with the food, with the farming. I just also want to mention that now we talk a lot about the food. Xenofilia, we do a lot of other things as well. I'm very I work a lot about, since I'm a both political science and I also a theologian, so I think it's very important to engage the different churches, the different communities in congregations in the society. In Sweden, we don't have the tradition of work with the religious parties in the society. I think we are in a change that we see that religion actually is an important thing. So we have different work that we are going together with the Muslim, with the Jewish, and the Christians. And we had this big festival in Malmö, in the Malmö festival this summer. And I could tell you that we will have something very, very big this spring. We have a press conference in 2 weeks. And maybe it has something to do with a song competition. I won't say anymore. So finally, I just want to say that what we are doing now is actually, I created a new company, me and my husband, and we bought a real estate here in Rosengård, because we really want to show that we are really we mean with this to work in Rosengård. So we have bought, now you can't really see it, but it's Botillenbo, a wonderful place, a house from the 1894, and we are going to create a center for food, meetings, diversity here in Rosengård. We are doing the plan now, and hopefully we open in October. And we put the Xenofilia work into this building and some other businesses as well. And we want to make it as a really good thing, showing that Rosengård is a good place of being. It is a good place of actually making investments in. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we let you off the hook and introduce this concluding debate, there's one question. First of all, thanks for a wonderful summary.
Thank you.
A summary that was really taking out bits and pieces and teasing things together from the two previous presentations. There are 3 fundamentals for this to work. The first one is your perspective, your mindset, and you really concluded that in going from a perspective of problem to potential. The second thing is the business idea, the business models, and fruitful business concept. Wonderful. You are an extremely energetic person, extremely committed, but you were not able to pull this off yourself. So the third important pillar in order to make this work is to have some sort of relation to and collaboration with other key stakeholders. Who were they?
I think it's important to collaborate with a lot of people. And we have wonderful work together. Drömmarnas hus, we are working together. We work a lot with Jallatrappan. We work a lot with the city, and I think that is very important.
I think that's very important to understand the success of the concept, that you've been able or had a strategy of really creating these alliances or whatever you call them, networks with these other stakeholders, because they were essential in order to really develop and realize the concept.
But also you need to work also with the different businesses. As for example, we founded the first year, I had this vision that we should do like 1 year of campaigning, 1 year of just being on different spots, doing events, cooking classes, and that kind of thing. Even if we try to make businesses of it, it could be hard to make it 100%. What can you say? To have the money. So I went to different businesses and I said,
we could see that from your slides.
Yeah.
PVC was represented.
Yes,
for example.
So, and for one of them was, for example, Citygas. So I went to them. I said, "Hey, I want to do this. Do you want to help us?" And they said, "Yes." So we have different companies
That's
like
making it very simple.
Doesn't have to be hard. PVC, Procter Waterhouse Coopers, has been a wonderful partners with us. Kockens, we have been working with Kvällsposten and that kind of different parties as well.
We'll come back to that in discussion. You stay here.
Will I get this as well?
You are in for the surprise of the day. Here comes, of course, no surprise, one more
Thank you
book.
so much. Yes.
And no spices, but chocolates from Malmö, local.
Thank you.
Now I would like to ask Michelle, Katja, and Lena to please come up and take a chair. And now is part for this concluding interactive part of this morning's session. We're open for questions or comments. And once again, if you feel uncomfortable asking the question in English, I'd be happy to translate. Varsågod. I think it's wonderful if you can stand up so we can all hear you. Microphone is coming.
My name is Joanna. I am interested in this area very much because I work with this one for many years. And now I'm very happy to see you here. And I heard that you reached the goal. But the next steps for you, it's, in my opinion, I want to see you for the goal in the future. What are you doing to read the global changing about this area?
Was that for me? Or was that
That's
for
for
everybody?
all of you.
For everybody.
But you were first, so please go ahead, Michelle.
And so could we just have a repeat of the final question? I apologize.
What you are doing for the future, because you have reached the goal for each country, which some purpose to develop a sustainable society. But I want you to see you in a global area, because I have been visit 56 countries in the world. For me, to see England and Sweden and Germany and continentals. So I want, because you're a strong woman, what you want to do for the future for us.
We can expand a bit on that question, I think. I mean,
brilliant.
what you have described is success stories, I think. You have really achieved something in this field. What does it take to take one step further?
3 strong women. That's something. This is unusual for me to sit in a panel with
I could
incredibly strong
have
women.
conformed all your prejudice by saying, here we have 3 pretty women. What do you think? I didn't say that.
3 very strong women.
It was very good presentations, but how could...
So, shall I answer for Bridges
Please
first of
start.
all? The first answer is it just, having founded Bridges 10 years ago, the primary feeling that I have is how little we've done, really, and how slow it all is. And so if it came across as, gosh, isn't it wonderful, we've done this, we've done the other, it's not how it feels. It feels as if, as I say, we've been pushing water uphill trying to talk about this way of investing for 10 years, and what I believe, and certainly I really hope, is the next 10 years is not going to feel like that. And for Bridges, we see it that we have the potential to build off what we've done and to really scale it. So one thing is to scale. We're tiny. You know, the examples that we've got, they're lovely, they're wonderful, I'm really proud. But their impact is still very small. And we, as an investor, we've got 330 million euros. Oh, compare us to mainstream investors that are similar to us, and we are tiny. So scale is one massive challenge for Bridges. Another one is continuous innovation. So I've talked about the social impact bond fund, which I shouldn't, because I see the person who has experience in communications doesn't give away her secrets for 2 weeks from now. But so that's the next innovation for us. And one thing we did last year was to set up something called Bridges Impact Plus, which is a small advisory service that allows us to respond. So we get people coming from Canada, from Israel, from all around the world saying, how do you measure social impact? That's one question we get a lot. How do you set up a firm that's investing for social purpose? You know, how do we get more social entrepreneurs in our country, etc. And we just didn't have a way to respond. So now we have a small advisory service, and that's our first step into doing things internationally. We've been advising on impact investment in Africa, sponsored by the Rockefeller Foundation last year, and with something called Comic Relief, which is a fundraising activity in the UK, raises tens and tens of millions every year for Africa and also for deprived communities in the UK. So continuing to innovate, continuing to scale, and the thing that I won't give away, but from a Bridges perspective, I've already intimated that we would love not just to be in the UK in our next 10 years, and I hope I'm strong enough. I like to be called a strong woman. I hope I'm strong enough that we succeed.
Your point very clear, so it might be a marriage also with Malmö, who knows?
Oh, that's the obvious next place to come, isn't it, really?
But I mean, you responded to this question from the perspective of your own business.
Yes. Okay.
You could also respond from it from the perspective of institutional barriers or what other obstacles that might be in place. I think you have the opportunity now.
Would you like me to?
Yes, of course I would.
So the biggest barrier for impact investment is relatively simple. It's raising capital. And it is this continued perception that if you care about the impact of your investments, that by definition you're soft and you won't make attractive financial returns. And so that's the single biggest barrier that we need to break down. What I tried to say with that spectrum of capital is that I have to be optimistic that things are changing, and that even our large private equity firms, like the ones who founded us, so take Apax and 3i who founded us in 2002, if I were to suggest to them that they should look at the environmental and social sustainability of their own investments, in 2002 that was off the table. Don't go there. They were there to make money. We were there to be sweet, and do not mix them up. And now those same firms are among the first private equity firms in the UK to sign up to the UN Principles of Responsible Investment. So we need, what we're doing is tiny. I see Bridges as a small, almost a revolutionary, always agitating for how capital can be used in a more positive way. And what I want is mainstream capital to follow. And I get asked sometimes, well, if private equity firms like Apax and Doughty Hanson are very responsible or sustainable in how they invest, won't you be out of business? And I would love that day, and if that day comes, then we'll just come up with the next idea that goes beyond it. That's our job. But the biggest thing is to change the way that the people who hold the capital and the people who advise those who hold the capital think about investment and break through that barrier that caring about impact doesn't mean always getting poor financial returns. In fact, in the long term, it's going to be the opposite.
Before giving the word to Katja and Lena, we have more questions. I will at least have one more question for you to possibly to respond to.
Okay, my name is Jörgen here, and I do the lovely links between corporate social performance and corporate financial performance. We have seen these great examples that we saw with the schools, with waste oil and hotels and so on. But can it be in some areas that it's harder to reach this, and can that be out from that some traditional interests within society and business feel themselves threatened about?
Do you want me to, well, the feeling threatened bit, I'm going to leave to Katja. The first thing I would say is that we should not, while this is the house of dreams, we have to also be the house of reality, and not all social or environmental problems can be solved in ways that make high levels of financial return. So we should be absolutely clear about that. And Bridges is absolutely clear. And we have some funds like the Social Entrepreneurs Fund that absolutely do not seek to do that. And it's not right to do it when you're supporting non-profit organizations. So that's the first thing that I would say, is that it is just a dream to think that all problems could be solved through strategies that also make very attractive financial returns. It would all be easy if that were the case. Do we see large corporate interests being threatened? Honestly, we do. So, and I can think of an example in the environmental sector where we've made an investment in a business that can deal with waste in a way that would transform the amount of landfill that was required. And the UK is basically one enormous piece of landfill, and we are running out. So never mind climate change, we just don't have enough holes in the ground. And it is a challenge that the large waste companies have built a business around taking things from people's home, waste from people's home, and putting it into landfill, and it's quite hard for them to change their business model. So, but that's really, I suppose, a traditional problem where small businesses innovate and large businesses can be threatened by it, and that's part of the disruption of the markets. So we have experienced that. Does anybody else want to comment on?
Katja.
Well, I guess
you are in two different fields. I mean,
yes,
very different. Food and energy.
The way I can look at it is, of course, when we go into a community like this, it's important that we don't try to take over roles that are not ours. I mean, we are not going to run schools, and we're not going to go in and control those parts that are not our business, but we do want to support forces that are there to contribute. So I think for us it is important to consider the boundary and how far should we go, because we don't want people to feel like we're taking over and we're taking over the world. So there are cases, not with us I think, but where schools do feel threatened because corporate interests come in too far into their operations.
But in relation to that question, the question here, was it a struggle within the company before you decided to adopt this very strict environmental concern and profile? I mean, to me, excuse me, prejudiced, E.ON was a very much energy company.
We're still an energy company.
Yeah, but still it was very much focused on producing energy, selling energy. So was this introduction of environmental thinking, was that an internal struggle and fight?
Well, I guess that was before I came on board, so I
but
don't
you
really
heard
know.
The rumors.
But I mean, of course, I mean it is a big company. I mean, there are many people who their jobs are actually running these big plants, and we will need. I mean, the energy system in Sweden will require the major plants for a long, long time, and I think that's part of what I talked before about the energy trilemma. It's not. I mean, my personal view is that we can't shut down the big power plants right now. No. So we do have this long-term responsibility that we need to take. So, but also people have understood for a while. I mean, the change has been going on for a long time within the company, and I think there's not a lot of resistance left. I think every person that I speak to within E.ON is very committed to a sustainable future and finding ways to do that. and we might have different views on what a sustainable future is, but the discussion is very much alive.
But I think the real important point made in the question is really just like you referred to in the UK, that when you try to introduce a new system or a new way of thinking, there is likely to be some sort of resistance by companies who have organized things in a more traditional way. Your example of garbage, I think that is rather relevant for many businesses, that you have to overcome some way of thinking and some obstacles to doing things in another way. Lena?
I was thinking that not often, but sometimes I meet a skepticism if you say that you are a company. And we are still having a background in Sweden that if you do something good for the society, you do it in a philanthropic way. And the business are the mean, the bad ones.
Yes.
And the other one is the good ones, and there is nothing between. And that is changing.
Yep.
But still, I think I meet it sometimes, and I have to. I often have to discuss and debate to say that I think in good businesses, because I wanted to create things that are good for the one who buy it, but also to create something good that if I could have a product that is good for the one who buy it, I also could provide employment, and that is also a good thing. So it became a win-win concept. But if you say that you are a company, some people still think that is a bit suspicious.
In my eyes, you are a greedy capitalist. No, you're not. So it's obviously some image we have to reconsider. We have more questions, and our time is flying. So please, if you have hand up if you want a question.
Then I will just take one shot before you. In the panel, when do you think that it goes over to a kind of greenwashing and window dressing, the area of sustainability and CSR? When it's more about to position your organization and to take out something positive for your marketing. The walk the talk and talk the walk. That was the question.
Before you respond to that, one more question, because time is running. So, yes, please.
I'm addressing, my name is Nina, to Katja. I'm interested to hear about those 10,000 devices that you let out. Did you think about the areas like Rosengård and other parts of Sweden that has those areas? Did you spread them?
Actually, for those 10,000, we addressed only house owners, because that's where we see the biggest. There's a very big difference in terms of how much energy you consume. So for these, it was just småhus, villaägare, who got that. But it's all over the country. So we let our customers, our existing customers, know that there's a chance, and they could all apply to get this device. So we did spread it across the country, but. I mean, so in Rosengård, also the house owners got the offer.
Thinking about the educational aspect of those devices that you talk about to help people to learn more about how they can lower their consumption. So, but did you see any changes? Was it the interest from areas like Rosengård? Was it as big as the?
I'm sorry, I don't have that, but I can see if I can find that out. I don't know the actual number of people from Rosengård who were part of the but I can let you know.
Do we have any final question before I give the panel chance for a concluding comment? Oh, then your question is in the air.
Yeah,
so they will respond to that. I'm just concerned if there was any other additional question. If not, you have a chance to respond to that gentleman's question and then say some very bright concluding words in 30 seconds each.
So who wants to go first?
Lena goes first.
I go first. First of all, I think that this morning has been very valuable for me. I hope it's been valuable for you as well. I think we are in a very, very interesting time right now when things are changing. And I'm so glad of being a part of it, and I think that the goal is positive. I think we have to work really hard in a lot of ways, but we can find new thinking, new innovations, and good sustainable way of having a society, and that makes me very, very interesting of the coming 10 and 20 years. Thank you so much.
Katja, Michelle, who wants to go next?
I guess we'll let the final word go to Michelle, I think. So I'll just say something about the greenwash. Of course, there's, I think that's a personal view on what is greenwash and what is not, because there's not a black and white border for that. But I think it's important to work with your values within the company and making sure that everybody is on board on the change that you're doing, and then making sure that you communicate what you've actually done and not communicate things that you haven't done. But of course, using a brand and using marketing is very important in also making your employees know that this change is happening, and also making your customers aware. So I'm pro marketing, but of course there's also always a line, and you need to find this balance of being humble but also being proud of what you're doing. So there is no answer to your question.
Michelle, concluding words.
On the greenwashing question, I guess I sort of agree that I'm a bit less worried about it, because I think that just talking about these issues and them being talked about is important. And I think that the test for whether it's greenwashing or not will come by probing what are the results. And that gets to the area of impact measurement, which we haven't talked about, but it is crucial. If you're there to make an impact, then you do need to measure it, and people need to hold you accountable for it. And I'm sure that Katja would agree that her job is to not just tell people fine words about what the company would like to do, but actually do it and then report what has been done. And that's how you tell the difference between greenwashing, I think, and reality. In terms of the wise words, thank you so much for this morning. It's been exciting, I think, for all of us, certainly for me. It's been exciting to see the combination here, because I think to solve the sorts of problems we're talking about, we need more amazing Lenas coming forward, social entrepreneurs, and I believe they will. I believe every driver that we have in society now will bring out more social entrepreneurs, and that social entrepreneurship is the wave of the next 10 years. Then you've got businesses realizing their responsibilities increasingly, and hopefully going beyond that and actually seeing business opportunities that can make a difference. So that combination is what we need. And really talking about energy and fuel, Bridges and mission-driven investors like Bridges are really just a kind of fuel for that. And we hope, by having more impact investors that are orientated to that we'll be able to fuel the amazing work that social entrepreneurs can achieve. The next 10 years is, I think, the 10 years of social entrepreneurship. I think it's a wave. I think it's going to come big time, and I hope it comes to this area. I can see it already has.
By that, I would like to thank you by saying we had very high expectations and hopes for your presentations, both each presentation individually, but also that they would stick together and form some sort of unity which really would integrate different perspectives in a fruitful way, given the fact that we want things to happen in Rosengård. You met all these expectations. Thank you so much. Now, it's just time for some very concluding words, and I would like to bring Cecilia back on stage, because she's taking a rather low profile, but I would say without Cecilia, absolutely none of this would have happened. You've been so enormously engaged and committed to making this come true, being a perfect event. So I would very unorthodox say, thank you very much, Mrs. Organizer, for a perfect thing. And I don't know what you are to say now.
Thank you very much. And it's also been a lot of work from a lot of people with the team within Företagsakademin, with Julia and Maria, and we've been working together with Malmö högskola as well, and students there and everyone involved in the project. So thank you very much for that. And I think as well for ideas for today, I've got many new ideas that I'm going to bring back as well to the Business Academy and to our 18 companies that are part of the program, and to make sure that we can support them even better in their strive to become more sort of sustainable. And another idea that I got that would be fantastic is to as well to work closer with investors maybe for the future to get capital into the companies that are part of the program. But that's something for the future. Thank you.